10 brutal truths about becoming an entrepreneur that you need to know. Every single day, entrepreneurs around the world launch new businesses with big dreams. In fact, over 4 million new businesses start each year in the US alone. But here's what's crazy. 90% of them will fail within their first 5 years because they're completely unprepared for these 10 specific challenges. So if you're thinking about going into business for yourself, or you're in the trenches right now, this video is for you. Let's get into the 10 brutal truths about entrepreneurship that I've experienced personally. Brutal truth number 1, money will be tight for years. Most businesses take 2 to 3 years minimum to become profitable. You'll likely earn less than at your previous job for several years while working much harder. When I left my corporate job, I didn't fully grasp what no steady paycheck actually meant. It's not just about inconsistent income, it's about no income, no benefits, no paid sick days, and absolutely no vacation time that you don't personally fund yourself. Your income, if you're lucky to have one, becomes completely unpredictable. Some months you might be able to pay yourself, and many months you can barely pay anything. You need to be prepared to not take a salary from your new business for at least 1 year. Sounds like a long time? Well, I didn't pay myself for 4 years. I had gone from making high 6 figures in my corporate job to making nothing. The worst part is that it took me 10 years to earn in my business what I was earning on my corporate job. 10 years. Now, this isn't meant to scare you, but it's the cold reality. That safety net is gone. The sooner you prepare for this mentally and financially, the better off you'll be. Try and put yourself in the best financial position possible if you plan to quit your job and launch your business. Reduce all unnecessary expenses and expect not to make a profit for months, maybe even years. Of course, the best strategy, if you can do this, is to earn income either through your job or get a part-time job while you're building your business so that you don't have to put yourself in financial straits as you build your business. Brutal truth number 2, when you become the CEO, you become Chief Everything Officer. In the beginning, you are literally everything to your business. I went from having an entire team supporting me to suddenly being responsible for sales, marketing, HR, IT, recruiting, customer service, accounting, bookkeeping, legal, training and development. The list never ends. What's wild is that some of these areas are so foreign to you that you don't even know where to begin. Now, one of the advantages I found being chief of everything was learning about things I didn't know. Now, I'm a lifelong learner, so I love to be challenged. But I can certainly understand how this can be overwhelming. The 4 things I had to learn quickly, and I encourage you to do the same, were sales, accounting, bookkeeping, and taxes. Although I hired an accountant that first year, I found out quickly that accountants are there to keep you compliant, not to advise you on tax strategies. This Chief Everything Officer role means wearing so many hats that you'll inevitably wear some of them poorly. You can't be an expert at everything, but you need to be competent enough in each area until you can afford to delegate. The hardest part is not knowing what to prioritize when everything seems critical. Learning to distinguish between what's urgent and what's important becomes your superpower. It's critical that you focus on getting and retaining customers so you can bring in revenue. Then you need to learn how to manage the revenue and reduce your taxable income. These areas fall in the sales, accounting, bookkeeping, tax, and cash flow buckets. This became so important to me that I became an accountant and certified CFO advisor. Now, you don't have to go that far. But you need to understand your profit and loss statement, balance sheet, and your cash flow. You also need to know how to sell to bring in revenue. Brutal truth number 3, you're never off. Here's something I think many people aren't prepared for. Your business becomes a 24/7 mental occupation. You'll think about it in the shower, while you're trying to sleep, and during family events. Business can easily become your life, and your life becomes your business. I was visiting a relative a few months ago, and I had to take a phone call from an employee. After I got off the phone, he said, "You're always working." I said, "It's my business, and work does not end for me." He said, "I couldn't work like that." Well, as a business owner, your business is not a separate entity. It becomes an extension of who you are. Your values, passion, and work ethic are woven into every product you create, every service you provide, every interaction you have. The line between your personal and professional life blurs as your successes become personal victories and your setbacks feel like personal failures. You carry the weight of your brand wherever you go, knowing that your reputation is inseparable from your business. It's more than a source of income. It's a living, breathing reflection of your dreams, sacrifices, and relentless determination. So yes, I take phone calls 24/7 because I'm the owner and CEO. It is critical to me that we provide the highest level of customer service possible. I'm obsessed with customer service because I want to take care of my customers. Plus, my reputation is on the line. This is my business, and at the end of the day, I'm responsible for everything. I own it. Brutal truth number 4, it's deeply lonely. You'll make decisions nobody understands, face problems you can't share, and often can't relate to friends with normal jobs anymore. Your social life can certainly suffer. Even with a team around you, the weight of final decisions, the pressure of making payroll, the strategic concerns, these burdens rest solely on your shoulders. During the last 17 years, I have bought, sold, and started numerous businesses and currently have multiple businesses. I have never had a business partner or someone I could confide in or strategize with. When you don't have a tribe to help with the stresses of your business, it can stunt growth and elevate feelings of isolation and loneliness. Your friends and family may love you, but they don't want to hear about your business problems, especially if they've never owned a business before. They just really don't understand. They see the highlight reel, but not the daily struggles. As an entrepreneur, I've had some dark days, but you must remind yourself that you will get through it. What helped me most was finding a community of other entrepreneurs, people who understood the unique challenges without explanation. Whether through formal networks or informal meetups, finding your tribe becomes essential for your mental health. Remember, even when it feels like it, you're not truly alone in this journey. Brutal truth number 5, the harsh reality of business administration. Most entrepreneurs dive into business creation fueled by passion and product vision, only to be blindsided by the administrative machinery required to keep your business legally compliant and financially sound. What no one tells you is that ignoring these boring aspects can destroy even the most brilliant business concept. Without proper legal structures, you risk personal financial ruin through lawsuits that pierce the corporate veil, leaving your home, savings, and future earnings vulnerable. Meanwhile, tax authorities show zero mercy for ignorance. The penalties for misfilings or improper documentation can cripple your cash flow overnight, turning a growing business into an insolvent liability faster than you can secure emergency funding. With my first business, I learned about these issues the hard way. One time I was fined over $200,000 by the IRS. Another time I was expecting a $55,000 tax refund when I found out that the losses would carry over because of my C Corp status. These are just a few of the financial lessons I learned because of ignorance. And what's crazy, I had an accountant. Unfortunately, you don't know what you don't know until you get punched in the face. The financial blind spots that sink early stage businesses aren't usually grand strategic miscalculations, but mundane oversights in basic bookkeeping and cash flow management. Entrepreneurs consistently underestimate how quickly poor financial hygiene compounds. Every unreconciled account, misclassified expense, or overlooked invoice creates hidden liabilities that emerge at the worst possible moments. When you're desperately seeking investment or trying to secure crucial vendor relationships is precisely when these financial ghosts will materialize, destroying your credibility and momentum. In my first business, I had some poor bookkeeping and lost thousands and thousands of dollars. The brutal truth is that many founders spend thousands of hours perfecting their product while begrudgingly the few hours monthly needed to maintain financial order only to watch their creation collapse under administrative neglect. Perhaps most sobering is the realization that investors, partners, and even customers unconsciously evaluate your business acumen through the lens of your administrative competence. Your revolutionary product means nothing if your corporate governance looks amateur. Your financial statements contain inconsistencies, or your tax situation raises red flags. The marketplace ruthlessly punishes businesses that fail to master these fundamentals. Banks reject vital loans, suppliers demand unfavorable terms, and acquisition opportunities evaporate when due diligence reveals administrative chaos. The entrepreneurs who succeed long-term aren't necessarily those with the most innovative ideas, but those disciplined enough to build proper financial and legal foundations that can weather unexpected storms and support sustainable growth. Brutal truth number 6, your mental health will be tested. You see, starting a business is exciting. You've got big dreams, you're passionate, you're ready to take on the world. But nobody warns you about the emotional roller coaster that comes with it. And I'm not just talking about stress. I'm talking about anxiety, self-doubt, burnout from working 15 hours a day. Here's the thing. As an entrepreneur, you're under constant pressure. You've got bills to pay, clients to please, employees to support, and a family who's counting on you. It's like carrying a mountain on your shoulders while walking a tightrope in a windstorm. Every decision you make feels like a gamble. Did you price that product right? Will this new marketing strategy work? What if that big client you depend on just leaves? Which has happened to me. It's relentless. But the worst part, you can't show it. As a business owner, you're expected to be strong, confident, and positive, even when you're falling apart on the inside. And that, my friends, is where the real mental health struggle begins. This ties back into loneliness. Your employees rely on your stability. Of course, you can't confide in them. Your family wants to see you succeed. Your clients expect you to deliver. And you're stuck pretending you've got it all figured out. Because admitting you're struggling feels like you're admitting defeat. You can't just vent to your team about cash flow problems. You can't tell your clients you're worried about losing their business. Even your friends with 9-to-5 jobs won't understand why you're losing sleep over something they think is just business. Well, they don't have a business. They don't have to meet payroll. And if you're a perfectionist, someone who sets high standards for yourself, it's even worse. You push yourself, telling yourself you must be the best. You can't afford to fail, so you work harder, sleep less, worry more. Eventually, you burn out. But here's the thing, recognizing this isn't a sign of weakness. It's a sign that you're human. So how do you protect your mental health as an entrepreneur? Well, first, stop pretending you've got it all together. Be honest with yourself, with a mentor, or with someone you trust. Second, prioritize self-care. And I'm not talking about bubble baths and spa days. I'm talking about sleep, exercise, and taking real breaks. Because if you're not taking care of yourself, your business is going to suffer. Finally, building a support system. Find a network of other entrepreneurs who actually understand what you're going through. You're not alone. So yeah, the brutal truth is that your mental health will be tested, but the good news is you can take control and you're not alone. We're in this together. Brutal truth number 7, failure is not the norm, not the exception, and doesn't have to be final. Around 90% of startups fail, and most successful entrepreneurs fail multiple times before finding success. These failures can be both emotionally and financially devastating. Let's talk about the brutal reality. 90% of all startups fail. That's not some random statistic, it's a cold, hard truth. And it's not because entrepreneurs aren't smart or hardworking. It's because building a business is like trying to fly a plane while building it in midair. Cash flow runs dry, markets change, competition intensifies, and founders burn out. They get blindsided by things they never saw coming. A key client vanishes, a critical hire falls through, or the perfect marketing plan flops. Most startups fail because they never learned how to adapt, how to protect their cash flow, or how to manage their mental health when everything feels like it's falling apart. But here's the good news. You don't have to be part of that 90%, because for every 90 failures, there are 10 success stories. And those founders aren't just lucky. They know their numbers. They plan for the worst, but still aim for the best. They stay financially disciplined, adapt when things go wrong, and most importantly, they never stop learning. They focus on building a strong foundation, finding a support system, and making decisions that protect their mental health as much as their bank account. That's the 10% mindset. And if you're watching this, you've already got an edge because you're here seeking knowledge, preparing yourself. You're already stacking the odds in your favor. Brutal truth number 8, working capital is your lifeline. Cash is king isn't just a saying, it's survival. One of the hardest lessons I learned was about cash flow. Having customers doesn't guarantee having cash. I've had situations where customers took 90 plus days to pay invoices while my team needed their paychecks every 2 weeks. I've had to sue people to get paid, and in some instances, I won the lawsuit but was never able to collect. I remember staring at my bank account, watching it drain, knowing we had $50,000 in outstanding invoices, but barely enough to make payroll. That feeling of wondering if you'll be able to pay your people is gut-wrenching. Working capital isn't a luxury. It's oxygen for your business. Without sufficient reserves, even profitable companies collapse. When you hear people say their company is doing XYZ in revenue, how much of that are they actually collecting? What are their expenses? Sounds great to say your company is making $50 million a year, but if expenses are $80 million, that's not too sexy. Remember, revenue is vanity. Profit is sanity, but cash is reality. Brutal truth number 9, the challenge of team building. Building an effective team is both essential and extraordinarily difficult. I've made every hiring mistake possible, bringing on friends and family who weren't qualified, hiring skills without considering culture fit, keeping underperformers way too long because letting them go felt too hard. What I've learned is that your business will never outgrow the quality of your team. Each hire, especially in the early days, can dramatically impact your culture and capabilities. And it's not just about hiring, it's about creating an environment where talented people want to stay and contribute their best work. That means developing leadership skills you might not naturally possess. The brutal truth: your ability to attract, develop, and retain talented people will ultimately determine your ceiling as an entrepreneur. And that process never gets easier. It just becomes more consequential as you grow. Brutal truth number 10: resilience and adaptability and perseverance. Entrepreneurship will certainly test your resilience in ways you never imagined. My largest customer decided to move their business in-house, leaving me with millions in lost revenues and investments. Key team members quit at critical moments. I dealt with several lawsuits. I've had employee theft. I've had serious cash flow issues and suffered numerous failures. Each of these moments felt like potential breaking points, but I got through them. Adaptability isn't just helpful, it's essential for survival. The business plan you start will inevitably change, sometimes drastically. The brutal truth: failure isn't just possible, it's guaranteed in some form or another. The question isn't whether you'll face setbacks, but how quickly you can recover and adapt from them. Those who survive aren't necessarily the smartest or most talented, but those who can take the punches and keep moving forward. Being an entrepreneur has awarded me with a high level of resilience and patience and perseverance. It's been a tough but rewarding journey that I choose to continue to ride every day.